While you were working on the in itinerary translation sentences, you might have noticed that there was something new. So today we're going to talk about what that something new was and what we should call it. We're going to call it a cum clause, and we're going to talk about the verbs that are in a cum clause as being subjunctive verbs. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start out with what you knew before you started playing the screencast today. You knew that cum was a preposition. You knew that cum meant with. And you know that cum, as a preposition, is followed by ablative nouns. It's one of the prepositions that's in the SID space mnemonic device that you used to use. You've seen phrases like cum quinto, with quintus. We talked about the ablative of accompaniment, where cum was followed by a person word. Cum horospice, with the soothsayer. Cum dea. You've also seen cum attached to the end of certain pronouns. With you is expressed in Latin as te cum, instead of cum space te. It gets mashed together with the cum at the end. Nobis cum, with us. But at the end of the day, each of these examples shows the same commonality, that cum was a preposition, cum meant with, and that cum was used with ablative nouns. However, you have seen a couple of different uses of cum in the sentences from that short little story in Itinerary. You saw cum ad pontem veniscent, equus transire noluit. When they had come to the bridge, the horse did not want to cross. In that sentence, cum did not mean with. Cum strithio transiesset, equus transire etiam tum nolebat. When strithio had crossed, the horse even then was not wanting to cross. So this represents a new use of the word cum. This is what I like to call cum 2.0, which means that there's a new use that's in addition to the one that you already know. In the new usage of the word cum, it does not feature an ablative noun. In the new use of cum, however, it does feature a new type of verb. And that verb type is called the subjunctive. Subjunctive refers to the mood of a verb. And the mood of a verb refers to how it gets used in sentence or in speech. There are 3 moods of verbs, most of which you already knew, but we just haven't really put a name to a face yet. So, the types of verbs that you have been seeing up until today are indicative verbs. Indicative verbs have factual statements. I saw. I did not see. He is walking. He is not walking. Those are all examples of indicative verbs that either happen or don't happen. They will happen in the future or they won't happen in the future. They did happen in the past or they did not happen in the past. You also know imperative verbs, and I don't know if you realize, but imperative is also a mood. Imperative verbs are commands. For example, fer mihi togam, bring me a toga. Woka servos, call the slaves. And then we had negative imperatives. Noli me vexare, don't annoy me. Now enter our third mood of verbs. These are called subjunctive verbs. Subjunctive verbs are potential. They may or may not happen. What you're going to find is that the subjunctive verbs that you're going to be working with, they appear in what are called dependent clauses. Usually, because of that, they are secondary to other verbs that are used in the sentence. The other verbs that are used in the sentence are indicative, and then the subjunctive is dependent upon that one. Just to review a little bit about grammar, a clause is a phrase of words that includes a subject and a verb. So let's look at a subjunctive clause that uses cum. In this sentence, cum is not followed by an ablative noun. So right off the bat, we have to eliminate all of your prior knowledge of cum as a preposition. The verb that's in that clause is a subjunctive verb, and you'll recognize that because you've never seen a verb that looks like that before. And in the sentence, it needs that indicative verb, noluit, in order to really portray the full meaning. When they had come to the bridge, the horse did not want to cross. Just to clarify, the subjunctive is a mood. It is not a tense. Subjunctive verbs still have tenses. There are two tenses that you are viewing in stage 24. The first one is the pluperfect tense. And the pluperfect tense looks like that. Wainiscent. It features the third principal part, which is VENI, and then it features SSE, and then it features an ending. In the imperfect tense, we have a verb like winierent. The imperfect subjunctive looks like the second principal part, which you previously have known as the infinitive, and then an ending. It's actually pretty straightforward. The imperfect is the easiest of all of the subjunctive tenses to learn. The good news for all of you is that it doesn't matter if your imperfect or your pluperfect is in the indicative or the subjunctive mood. You translate them exactly the same. So let's do a quick tense translation. The present tense is blanks, as in walks, or is walking. You could translate it either way. The imperfect tense was or were walking, or he used to walk. The pluperfect tense is the one that has had with it. If you notice, out of all the tense translations that are here, pluperfect is the only one that's allowed to use had. The perfect tense can use have, or it can just be a simple past, walked, have walked, or did walk. So now we're going to bring it all together here. In the imperfect tense, the indicative form was wainier bot, bombas bot. You're probably used to that by now. Wainieret is the imperfect subjunctive. Here's your infinitive, wainire, and then a personal ending. And the translation is the same. He was coming. You can translate wainieret as he was coming. You can translate wainiebat as he was coming, because imperfect is a tense translation. It has nothing to do with the mood of either subjunctive or indicative. Same thing goes for the pluperfect. Wainiscent, that's our subjunctive form, with wainy, which is the third principal part, SSE, which is what we have to add, and then our ending of T. The pluperfect indicative was the third principal part, VEN, and then we had eramarasarat attached to that. Both of these are pluperfect. They both get translated, he had come. So let's take a look at a few subjunctive cum clauses to give it a voice. When he had descended, cum descendissent, the horse immediately crossed. Cum strithio transiesset, equus transire etiam tum nolebat, when strithio had crossed. Cum ad medium pontem venisset, when he had come to the middle of the bridge. Okay, so in all three instances, cum does not mean with because it's not followed by an ablative noun, and you have one of your new subjunctive verbs in the text. We are going to be working on this more tomorrow, so make sure to come to class with your notes so that we are locked, loaded, and ready to go. If you have any questions, you can feel free to email me. And quickly, these are the slide credits. Have a good night.